Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Next in Time podcast. I'm your host, ST Tangarella, and today our guest is Darren Black. He is the founder and CEO of Prosperity. And if you want to know more about what Prosperity is, it is an artificial intelligence platform enabled customer engagement and financial improvement platform that utilizes first party data to get and retain customers for B2C businesses and uses digital advertising revenue for those businesses to pay off consumer debt. And so Darren is looking to make a massive impact in helping everyday people and businesses achieve financial freedom and ensuring a solid financial foundation. And so, yeah, Darren, welcome to the show.
Thank you, SD. It's an honor to be here.
Yeah, I'm glad you're able to join because I think you're the first one that we are interviewing that, talks about financial freedom because, it's blurted everywhere nowadays, especially on social media, particularly Instagram, TikTok. They always say, "Oh, this is what you need to do to achieve financial freedom." So what is that about what you're doing is kind of like different from what they're preaching?
So, how we're different is we actually have a viable solution that works. So, unlike all those other people that give you advice, spend wisely and so on, we have an alternative that is viable and feasible and actually works, and that is giving you as a consumer access to hundreds of billions of dollars that's available every year in ad revenue. So you can use that money to improve your finances. And starting with our first product, which is debt payment.
Right.
So that's how we differentiate. Like we actually have something that works. It's not just we're not just like trying to encourage you to improve your finances. We're literally helping you to do it. So
It's
that's
so this is what you're trying to do, like is in a way just helping out people like recover, like suffer from debt, because like recover from like debt issues, like because like we're as well as they say we are a debtor nation here in the
Yep.
United States. We basically take so much debt to be able to buy the things we cannot really afford.
Yep.
So what you're trying to do is find ways on how you could use a more simpler way of just trying to pay off debt, like using digital advertising in a way.
Yeah. So basically, like what we're doing is we're giving consumers a second option.
Yeah.
So currently, the only option you have as a consumer is you got to use your own money from your own pocket. That's the
Yeah.
only option that you have. And so we're hoping to give consumers that additional or new option where they don't have to use up so much of their own money to pay off their debt. They
Yeah.
can tap into our ad revenue. And then what that means is, as a consumer, you use less, or in some cases, none of your own money to pay off your debt. And which is the goal. The goal is to be able to do that so that the consumer has more disposable income. And that then triggers the fact that it increases their socio-economic status and their standard of living because they have more of their own money left in their hands.
Yeah.
Basically, that's what we're trying to do.
So it's like I'm just out of curiosity, like what was your first experience dealing with debt, which enabled you to, start this thing?
So, as you said, we are a debt economy. So, I have been exposed to debt via credit cards, business loans, personal loans, and the dreaded student loan. And then, it hit me one day. It's like my whole life is spent on trying to repay debt, and this doesn't make any sense. So you feel trapped, and a lot of people, basically, the majority of the population or the consumers in the US and from our research, like over 4 billion people globally are trapped in this debt cycle where they use debt to get the things that they need, but then they're trapped because it takes them so long to pay off that debt. In fact, there have been instances where like people have retired and they're still paying their student loan debt. That's crazy.
Yeah,
And I'm like,
I know. The funny thing is
yeah,
because this is kind of why there's this new movement of people. If you recall, there's these many different movements on financial, on how to, not go into debt. If you recall, I mean, if you listen to Dave Ramsey, he always says that do not.
Yep.
If you just basically have to destroy, like as I say, he calls it debt snowball. You gotta go out there and kill all your debts, and then you can live a more prosperous life. So,
Yep. Yep.
but
Yep.
I mean, even for me, I'm starting to realize that I just I'm still like for me personally, I'm trying to see if I could buy a house, and it's not really unless I get a loan to pay for that house, I can't really live. And also rents are going up,
Exactly.
everything's going up. It's like you have to basically go into debt to pay off something that you really want, just to pay,
Correct.
just to buy necessities in a way.
Correct. Exactly. And that is the reason why we've created prosperity. It's really an attempt to help, especially the low end, the middle class, I mean, to survive basically, and
Yeah.
especially now with this, the U.S. and the global economy that's probably going into recession. I mean, a lot of people are going to be hit very hard financially, and like the timing for what we're doing is perfect, and
Good.
we hope that it helps a lot of people.
So, anyways, tell me about. I was just going to know more about Darren, the man. Like,
Mhm.
what made you become like the person you are in terms of being the visionary and solving the debt issue.
So I've always had a passion for entrepreneurship. I enjoy solving problems and getting paid for it. Um, and so over the years, based on my academic and my work experience, where I worked in many different fields, from fintech to ad tech to marketing, management consulting. So over the years, I've seen the problems that both consumers and businesses they have to go through. And one day, I myself experienced the debt problem, and I was like, I mean, there has to be a way out of this. And so I was able to use all my experience and my knowledge to come up with a solution that not just helps me, but helps potentially millions of people globally. On the academic sides, I have an MBA, I have a master's degree in business analytics,
Yeah.
and I have a bachelor's degree in science. I'm also a project management professional, PMP, with a lot of like over 40 years experience uh, developing web and mobile applications and consulting in the areas of tech and finance. So I have a lot of experience. I have a lot of knowledge and skills. And I said, I mean, I I need to find a way to help not just myself, but a lot of people who are struggling. And one of my peeves is like I really like to help people, and I think that what we've built here is an avenue to help like millions of people. And as you know, once you can help someone improve their financial life, that then transitions to the other aspects of their life, their
Right.
health, yeah, their social life, their community life. So that's really what um, drove me to create this company, and that's really our overall vision and mission.
So, is it because of the fact that you were dealing with a bunch of I mean, you've been surrounded have you had personal experiences, dealing with debt?
Yes, actually. So as I said, so I have a personal experience dealing with credit card and student loan debt. And as you made mentioned earlier, I mean, even I myself was trying to purchase my first home, and because of that, previous what should I say, instances with debt, and um, it was difficult for me to get the home that I needed because everything is based on your credit score, your previous history, and so on. And so um, that bad experience dealing with debt and not being able to pay off that debt on time um, really impacted me and had me thinking. So it forced me to use like all the experience and the knowledge that I have to come up with a solution that could help.
Yeah.
not only myself, but then I saw that it can help a lot of people.
Right.
Um,
But
my colleagues, my family, a lot of people that are in the middle class, and a lot of people that are in, as they describe it, the lower middle class that would like to come into the middle class, but they're stuck.
yeah, some people want to go from middle class to wealth.
Yeah, so exactly.
And then they have to, the thing is, they think there's a presumption that once you take out a debt, I mean, there's a saying that from the great Robert Kiyosaki, your house is not an asset, meaning when you purchase a house, then you're taking when you take out loans for it to buy the house, you're
Hmm.
paying, you're not really making any money out of it. You're making some equity on it,
Yeah,
but that you'll have to until you hit until like a couple many decades later when it starts appreciating in value,
in
then
value. Yep,
yeah, that you're basically stuck with it. Just for
yep,
that tiny bit of appreciate a tiny amount of appreciation and value, you're basically stuck with a house. That doesn't make sense.
exactly.
But
I agree.
I'm saying you're originally from like Africa or the Caribbean?
Yeah, so I'm originally from a country called Trinidad and Tobago.
Oh, Trinidad. Okay, right near
Yeah,
in the Caribbean.
yes, correct. Yeah, yeah. So I'm originally from there. Came here to the US to study on a scholarship, and after finishing that scholarship, I mean, the real purpose I came, especially in San Francisco, was to get into tech because I really enjoyed working in that field.
Right.
And so, yeah, and like this is the hub. This has the enabling environment for tech, and so that's why I came specifically here to San
And so,
Francisco.
yeah, and so do you have ventures before starting Prosperity or
Yeah, so I had a previous startup that was in marketing tech, and uh, that venture lasted like 3 years, and eventually had to sell. Um,
was that
yeah,
a successful acquisition, or was it like shut down the business?
it was a learning experience. So it was a shutdown. Well, not really a shutdown, but I mean, I decided to get out of it because it was causing more stress than than I mean creating any value for me. And I mean, back then it was extremely difficult to raise any funds whatsoever, especially as a person of color. I mean, if you think now it's hard, yeah,
No, don't
back
worry.
then,
You just got to
yeah,
go back to. I remember just 6 decades ago, we were dealing with civil rights issues.
exactly. So I mean, things have improved slightly
Yeah,
since then, but I mean, and as you know, without money, money is the lifeblood of any business. So without revenue or investment, eventually the business would like die.
yeah.
In that sense. So yeah, so I was basically forced to sell, and I mean, but it was an excellent learning experience. I mean, I learned things that now that I use in my everyday life and doing
Yeah,
business. Yeah.
I would say because I think it was Y Combinator that said that repeated founders have a better chance of success than first time founders.
Yep.
So
Yep.
it's like
That's
when
true.
once because you've learned through the experience, you went through like you had a marketing tech business, and what was the other business you had?
Oh, so I had a management consulting business that basically advised companies that were interested in developing web and mobile applications. So I would advise them so on like the best vendors to use, help them to get engineers, help them with strategy. So the whole gambit from ideation, I think, all the way down to um, maintenance. I would advise these companies on what to do and how to do it and who to use and so on, basically.
Got it. And so now I think we gotten to know more about who you are and your entrepreneurial spirit, and now your desire to solve the debt issue.
Yep.
So now let's get into more about getting to know more about your business, like Prosperity. So you started
Yep.
Prosperity. When did you started this last year, right? Or when did you?
Yes. Yeah. So we started it August of last year. Uh, Created a prototype. Did private beta testing December of last year. Got a ton of feedback, and also got a ton of people that we did not invite on the platform, which meant that there was like word of mouth, and it spread. So like we invited a certain amount of people and businesses, but then during the time period we observed a lot more people using the platform, and but it was really good because we got really insightful feedback, which is very important to any business. So like we did like two things. One, we were successful in testing our hypothesis, which
Yeah,
was there is a demand for what we're building, and two, we got really good feedback that is now helping us to improve the platform. In fact, based on that feedback, I've been able to make so many major improvements and like things that I did not even see um, um, from from both sides, from both the businesses and the consumer side. So like that was really insightful. So yeah, so that's where we are. So we're currently doing those improvements on the initial prototype, and we're transitioning from MVP to fully commercialized product. So that's what we're doing right now, actually.
got it. And so where do you see this going in terms of where do you see this company going in terms of like the future? Like in terms of where do you what's the overall vision of what the problem you're trying to solve with debt?
Okay, so as I said, that is one of five products that we will be rolling out in the future via the platform. So the vision is to help everyday people improve their finances, and that means helping them with the five what we call the pillars of personal finance. One is debt. The second one for us is savings. The third one is credit. The fourth one is access to additional income, some form of additional income to help you pay your bills and so on, and I mean to help you cover everyday expenses like groceries and so on. And the fifth one is financial literacy. So we've decided to roll out the debt first because like that one, based on feedback again from the consumers or the target market, is like that's one of the most important ones, especially now. Uh, so we've started with debt, and then we're going to roll out savings product as well as
So you're trying to build
yeah.
like a marketplace in a way, right?
Yeah, so it is a marketplace. So it's a two-sided uh, platform where on one side there are these B2C businesses that sell to the consumers. They sell their products and services, and then on the other side, the consumers who need these products and services will interact with the different businesses and as a reward for doing so and for helping these businesses grow by giving them feedback. um, we help these consumers initially pay off their debt, and they so basically the consumer will tell us which debt and how much they want us to pay off, and we do the rest. We pay them off at the back end by contacting their financial institution. But as I said, the debt is the first phase of a five phase process.
Got it. And so right now you were trying, I think when looked at your company, you're trying to partner up with larger digital advertising companies like like search engines like Google, Yahoo, or Bing or whatnot in order
What
to,
so
well, like tell me about that overall partnership.
so Um, we're not actually looking to partner with them. We have created our own sort of ad platform, or our we've created our own advertising platform, in a sense where we've also created an internal search engine. So the business would come on our platform, they would pay, they would create a campaign, they would run the campaign, and like when they get whatever action they want the consumer to do during that campaign, we get paid, and then we turn around and use basically the bulk of that ad revenue to pay off the consumer's debt. So that's basically how the platform works on, in a nutshell, at a higher level. So like, we're not partnering with any like Bing or
I think I
Google.
must be mistaken or
Yeah,
something. I think that was
yeah,
I think maybe during when we spoke earlier before the podcast, where I think you must have mentioned Google. I thought it was like a partnership or something.
no, no, no. I was saying, imagine having access to the ad revenue people like Google and Facebook get every year as a consumer, and using that money to go towards paying off your debt.
Right.
Um, yeah.
Now, like in terms of I don't in terms of that, how does that work? I know you don't want to like disclose too much, but like in terms of the general picture of it, how does it work?
So how it works is, as I mentioned earlier, after a business would have paid and created an ad campaign on our platform, um, what we ask consumers to do is to come on the platform and do what you normally would online, which means you would like search. So if you go on Google, if you go on Bing, if you go on Amazon, or even Facebook, you'd search, you would interact with the platform, and then you would go to whichever business you want to go to, and to get the product and services that you wanted to get initially. And so how our platform is set up is we ask the consumer to search for whatever they're looking for, and then they go do it on that business website or that business application. And then at the end of every day, what happens on the platform is our algorithm looks at each consumer's activity on the platform. And activity means the things that they would have done. So, for example, how much times did they interact with a business that led to us generating revenue? How many times did they give that business feedback at the end of that transaction? How many times they would have communicated with the business? Because we've also built in an internal messaging system between the business and the consumer. So as part of our customer engagement. So when the consumer completes the activity the business wants, they then give feedback and they rate the business. And then once they do that, they have the opportunity to give written feedback to the business, telling them like what they need to improve, if anything. And then the business, that then starts that communication, two-way communication between the business and the consumer. It gives the business an opportunity to either retarget that initial consumer or to target a first-time consumer. So we've built that into the platform. And so our algorithm looks at all those things that a consumer does. And then at the end of the day, the algorithm would then add up all the things that each consumer did. And then based on the amount of total revenue we as a company would have received, the algorithm then decides for each consumer how much money would be allocated to them to pay off their debt. And so
Right.
that process is repeated every single day, 24/7. And so it opens up a lot of opportunity for consumers with debt to, over time, pay off that debt. Um,
Right.
how long it takes you to pay off all your debt is totally dependent on you as a consumer. The
Right.
more active you are on the platform, the more funds are allocated to you, and the shorter time it takes to pay off all of your debt. Basically, everything is in your hands. As the consumer, we make the platform very transparent. So, for example, at the end of every day, we would publish all the people who would have received certain amounts of funds, and we will also show like how we arrived at selecting these people. So everything is fully transparent. I mean, there are no secrets. I mean, and that's how we designed the platform so that we can get credibility and trust. So everything is out in the open. Everyone can see how that person received that amount, because at the end of the day, when the algorithm did its calculation, that person probably will receive more of what we call activity points. And then based on those points, the algorithm says, okay, we're going to give you 10,000 today, 20,000, 100,000. And how we built the platform is like there is no limit to how much funds can be allocated to you.
Right.
So as a consumer, the more active you are, the more revenue we get, the more money you get, basically, and that's it.
And
So it's
so,
in, yeah.
so I was just going to say, what do you feel like are the challenges in implementing this whole thing?
So some of the challenges we may get is firstly um, probably getting consumers to initially understand what they need to do and how it works. That's one of the key challenges that we have to overcome, and we have a number of strategies that we're implementing to ensure that the consumers understand how everything works, and how they can benefit. Um, so we want to make it simple, keep it very simple and straight to the point, and let people understand what they need to do. So you have to do X, Y, and Z. When you do X, Y, and Z, uh, this is what happens at the end of every day. You have access to all of these funds that you can now use to help pay off your debt.
Got it. And so, yeah, I just want to let you know that we are running low on time. So let me just
Sure.
ask you a final question. So, like I say, you're in this world of, in the startup world, and you've
Yep.
been you had worked on two businesses before. One is an actual like marketing tech, and currently now in your third business. So,
Hmm.
what advice would you give to other founders or even other visionaries out there who want to, make a massive impact in what they're doing?
My advice would be solve problems that affect um, a lot of people, or like make something that people need. And once you do that, you create value, and then everything else will come. So don't start uh, looking for money. Start looking for, how do I create value? Um, how can I solve this big societal problem that affects so many people that no one has been able to solve? And
Yeah,
once you've done that, then everything else will come. Everything will fall in line. The wealth, the money, the fame, whatever you want or whatever you're into, that would come. But I mean, the first thing is like, at the end of the day, like really solve something, a problem that people have, um, that can help them improve their lives. Basically,
all right,
that's
cool,
the
Darren.
advice I would give. Yeah.
Sorry. All right, cool, Darren. Thank you for again for coming on the Next in Time podcast, and hopefully I could see a massive impact in the financial space for good, especially people helping out with being able to pay off their debts much quicker.
Hey, it's been a pleasure being here, SD. And for all the folks, you can sign up on our waitlist at prosperity.co, and that's prosperity without the I. So it's prosperety.co. Prosperity.co.
All
If
right,
you want
cool.
to improve your finances, then join us on our journey.
All right,
Thank you,
cool.
SD.
All right, cool, Darren. Thank you.
Sure, no problem.